Mute everybody. Let's make some yoga magic for a minute, or for at least an hour. So nice to see everybody. Welcome, Ashwini. Cross your shins, press your hands into your thighs, lift your spine up. Drop the shoulders, keep your lifted spine. And remember, the spine is at the base of the skull. So when you lift your spine, don't push your head front to back. Well, back a little because we lean forward, but lift the base of the skull high. Press your hands again. Take that deep breath. Exhale, draw your shoulder blades towards each other, or your back ribs towards each other. Your side ribs forward and your front ribs up. Keep stretching the base of the skull, spine long. Let your eyes close. Relax the arms, flex your feet. One of the big therapeutic things that's discussed about yoga in modern day medicine is the benefit of yoga to bring us in the present moment. The benefit of being in the present moment, recognizing that things that have happened to us, even though they might still affect us, are not happening now. Things that we worry about in the future are intangible. When I came into yoga, it was to feel like my past wasn't constantly hurting me, that my present could be healthy. In our current times of high stress, or for myself, I find yoga keeps me in the present and not worrying about the what if, the chitti vritti, right? The belief in non-truth. As always, when we get on the mat, check in with yourself about what your practice, how is your practice taken you from your past into your present and kept you from spiraling into the future. Always check in with yourself in that way, to give yourself that recognition of where you are, even if you don't know exactly everything about what's going on with you, but to feel the flexion of the body, to feel the muscle, to feel the breath, to see the thought. So let your body weight be heavy in the base of you, in your asana. Let your body weight be heavy into the hips, heavy in the legs, not forcing it down, but just give yourself permission to be not leaning towards the future or falling back into the past, but balance yourself centered for just even a moment and let it be good enough for you to be steady. Steady so your work that may be hard, may be challenging, may be fun, may be sad, is work that you can feel comfortable being in because it's present you. The present you that's done all the things to be here. Because regardless of what we believe of the mysticism of yoga or the esoteric teachings of it, yoga doesn't get to keep going without you. Because ultimately, yoga is not something that you serve. Yoga is here to serve you. Just as when you practice, I know in me that practice has helped me serve others. So let yourself be served in the present moment, my friends, by your practice. That you're not here to fill the role of yogi for your job of yoga. That this time on your mat, whether live or on the YouTube videos later, that you're taking this to let this work. This 5,000 years, all the teachers that came, all of the ideas, the beliefs, and the systems are serving you. Because as the teacher, I recognize that I'm trying to carry all of that for you tonight. Take a breath into your present. So that maybe the you that exists now, whether happy or sad or hurt or distracted or focused, can be served by what comes from the yoga practice, and you create with it for yourself for tomorrow. Take a nice deep breath in. Bring the palms together at the chest. Take another breath and we'll Om shortly 3 times. Om. Flex your feet. Om. Spine lifted. Om. Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your hands into your lap. Let your head rise and your eyes open. Nice. So nice to see everybody. Great. No one ran off. Feel free to lay on your back. Grab a block. So when you lay on your back, have your block, and you're going to lay the block at the crown of the head, which is the top of your head. It's going to stand on its top, not under your head, but on the tallest point at the crown of the head with the narrow edge touching your head. I'll move the camera down slightly so you can all see if I will get out of the way. No. So with the crown block touching the crown of your head, standing on its tallest end, both legs straight. If you have back pain by laying with your legs straight, it's okay to bend the knees or to put a small blanket or support underneath your hips and sacral plate. Squeeze the block with the palms. Let's work the shoulders, work the back, we're going to work the core body, things like that tonight to release our back. We're going to do some stuff with straps, some twisting, and then whatever else I happen to divine from the moment. When you squeeze the block with the palms, make sure you're not gripping it with your fingers, but bringing the flat of the palm into the block. And then try to press the length of each finger into the block, not just the tips, but from the base knuckle of the palm through to the second knuckle and then the final knuckle. So you want to press those phalanges or the bones between the knuckles into the block too, so you get a firm muscular press. Bring your elbows together and try to touch the elbows and keep touching them the whole time. Take a breath. Stretch your legs away from your body, still laying on the floor. So extend from your hamstring, your thigh, and then slide the block 1 inch away from your head. Nice. Breathe. Check in with your elbows. Are they still coming towards each other? Are you starting to grip in your neck to try and compensate for tight shoulder? Let your chin stay lifted, then slide the block another inch away. Bring the elbows close again. So your upper back has to widen. Just as we've been practicing and working on different variations over the months, if you try to hold your back flat, it will be hard. So let your shoulders lift up off the floor a little bit so your elbows can keep coming closer towards each other. Slide the block another inch away from your head. You should be at about 3. If you're farther than that, I mean, it's nice to try hard, but, you know, too much. Slide the block 1 more inch away. So you're at about the 4 mark. Squeezing the elbows together, letting the shoulders come up off the floor a little bit so your upper back widens. Pin those elbows. Pull the block back to your head. Pin the elbows tight together and keep them together. Draw your right knee to your chest. You're still stretching your left leg away from you. So as you pull your right knee as close towards your elbows as you possibly can get. So it's a very deep flexion of the quad. You're doing it right, Glenda. Pull your right knee close to your chest. Block should be touching your head now, Glenda. Palm, block on the floor, touching the top of your head. There you go. Elbows touching, slide the block an inch away from your head. And then when you move your block, pull your knee a little closer. Slide the block another inch. Pull the knee in a little more. So you got to flex deep into that quad. And then notice as you pull that right leg in, your left thigh wants to come up. Stretch your left leg away from you. Move the block another inch. Pull the leg closer to the knees or the elbows. Check out how much you're flexing your right foot. Don't worry about your foot. Flex your quad and your thigh muscles. Slide the block the last inch. Pull that right thigh in tight. Woo! Now hold. Now breathe. Notice for some of you, you're working so hard from your glute and your back, you're almost trying to straighten your leg. Let your right knee stay relaxed. Work the thigh deeper towards the hip. All right there, Tris. Stretch your right leg out. Pull the block back to your head. Palms flat, elbows touching. Take a nice breath. Try to keep your elbows touching throughout the whole movement. Move the block 1 inch from your head. Pull your left knee up towards your thigh, or pull your left knee up towards your chest, excuse me. As you pull that left knee up, that thigh up, stretch your right leg away from you, like there's an invisible wall to push into. Then slide the block another inch, pull your left thigh in a little bit more. Elbows tight, thighs active. So we're doing variation work of Supta Padangusthasana here that will be interesting. Slide the block another inch, pull the thigh in another inch. By engaging the quad like this, we're asking the deep muscles of our hip to work and how they connect to the back. Also, the abdominal muscles have to start to fire here. Block the last inch, so you're at the 4-inch mark, elbows tight. Pull that thigh in as deep as you can. Try to not straighten the leg. Don't let your left foot lift. Let it hang, but work the quad closer towards the elbows. At the same time, the right leg stretches away from you, so those two parts are moving opposite. Nice. Pull the block back to your head, stretch your leg out. Keep your elbows tight. Palms squeezing in. Pull both knees towards your chest. Now notice, for some of you, you picked one up one at a time or things like that. If your tendency is to pick one leg up than the other, that's overworking one half more than the other. So we're going to try and move into uniformity. So when you bend your knees, try to pick up both feet at the same time. Pick up both knees at the same time. This will help create a level of work and balance in each half. Squeeze your thighs tight together. Squeeze your thighs as tight as you're squeezing the block. Or better thought, squeeze your thighs in the block as tight as I would squeeze the block. Because I can't really tell, some of you are kind of, you know, we don't want to have to get second blocks and put them between the legs, guys. Slide the block away 1 inch from your head. Flex those thighs. Pull, let the buttock pull a little bit when you pull those quads and those knees closer to your chest. It's hard, huh? Slide the block another inch away. Work your legs in deeper. Notice if you're trying to push your spine to the floor, that is not the action. Even let your tailbone lift a little bit. Let the bottom of your buttock lift a little bit. Slide the block another inch. Let the butt lift a little to pull the thighs in deeper. Let your lips relax. Let your jaw relax. Last inch, elbows tight together. Squeeze them in. Squeeze those thighs in. Squeeze the block in. And then think about your heels pulling towards your knees. So you're very active through the whole leg, drawing it towards your upper body. Stretch your legs straight up in the air. Squeeze the block. Elbows tight. thighs tight. Pull the block 1 inch closer to the head. Lower your legs 10 inches lower and hold. You may bend the knee if you have to. Take a breath here. So now we're at a straight-legged abdominal flexion. You have to pull the ribs to the floor. Do not press your spine down, but think about, can you push what is already touching the floor harder to create asana here so you get some stability? So push your hips down, push your ribs down, pull your elbows tight together. Pull the block 1 inch closer so it's only a couple inches from the head. Lower your leg 10 more inches-ish. Breathe. So you're at the halfway challenge. Move the block 1 inch closer. Legs about 10 inches off the floor now. Elbows tight. Just pull the ribs down. As the legs go lower, your back wants to do it. So you've got to flex the abdominals and pin your ribs to the floor. Pull the block close to your head. Place your legs on the floor. Relax your arms for a second. You're right. Grab the block. Palms flat to the block. Elbows coming tight together. Pull both knees towards your chest. Thighs tight. Try to pick both legs up equally. Move both legs equally. I'm not asking you to move individual. Hold the thighs tight as you can to your abdomen. Now, for the fun part. Move the block 1 inch away from your head. Move your thighs about 5 or 10 inches away from your chest, like your legs are going to stretch out straight away from you. So your feet are not going to touch the floor. So you're lowering your legs now down, so your feet are about 1 inch off the floor. Roughly. Move the block another inch away from your head. Unbend your knees so your heels are about 10 inches or a foot away from your butt. And your heels are 1 inch off the floor. Move the block another inch away from your head. Straighten your legs a little more, keeping your heels one inch off the floor. Elbows tight. Last inch, move the block 1 more inch away from your head. If you can straighten your legs, straighten them out, but keep your heels 1 inch off the floor. Woo, now we're working. Elbows tight together. To the count of 4, as you exhale, pull the block back to your head and bend your knees at the same time. Go. Oof. Let's do that again, because I don't think some of you got the point that this is just a Supta Uttanasana, it's chair pose. So pull the knees tight to the abdomen, tight to the thigh. When you slide the block away 1 inch, take your heels 1 inch off the floor. Exhale, do it. Second, slide the block the 2nd inch away from the head, keeping the elbows tight together. Move your heels away from your hips, but keeping them 1 inch off the floor. Exhale, 3rd inch, move the block, move your legs out farther. Elbows tight together. Last inch with the block. Stretch your legs long, through the heel, through the hole of the foot. Breathe. To the count of 4 on an exhale, simultaneously pull the arms and legs in at the same, where you started. So when you bend your knees, you got to pull the block back. So your knees come back to their restart point when the block touches your head. So nice, we do it thrice. Here we go. Block moves 1 inch away from your head. Heels go 1 inch off the floor. Squeeze that block with your palms. The legs are deeply bent right now. Heels are just 1 inch off the floor. Move the block 1 more inch away from your head. Straighten your legs out a little bit, but keeping your heels 1 inch off the floor. Squeeze your thighs together as much as you're squeezing the block, and then squeeze your elbows in. Slide the block another inch. Stretch your legs out a little bit more at your own choice. Take a breath, last inch, inch 4 of the block. Lengthen your legs as best you can. They don't have to be perfectly straight, but don't let them fall. Don't let your arms go wide. Deep breath. As you exhale, simultaneously, means at the same time, your arms pull in and the legs pull in. Relax the arms, plant your feet on the floor and rest for a moment. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Draw your left leg to the body, grabbing the back of your left thigh with both hands near the knee, and just pull for a second, stretching the hip. If you need to use a strap or anything like that, please do so you can use the arms to pull on that leg. After we've done the extensionary abdominal engagement, working the legs and the arms like that, there's a certain amount of muscular action that has to change in the hips and lower back. A lot of times when doctors say you have back pain, you don't have strong core muscles, you have strong enough core muscles, you get up, you go to work. It's really more about, can you keep them engaged when you extend, move the legs and the like, instead of your low back. Go ahead, switch your legs up. When you switch your legs, both feet onto the floor, cross your left ankle over your right thigh, pull the right leg in, grab the back of the leg with both hands. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck, and let the bend of your elbows, remember we've been talking about that, or I've been trying to teach us, when you bend your elbows, take your elbows out wide so the shoulder blades widen, so you're not pulling with your neck. Go ahead, take the leg down. All right. Roll to your side, sit on up, grab your yoga strap for a moment. Make a loop with your yoga strap, please. The loop of your yoga strap should be no wider than your yoga mat. And what I mean by that is that if you were to take your loop and lay it across your mat, that's pretty close to it right there. Any bigger than this is going to be very hard at the start. You're not going to have fun. So once you've got your strap set, you're going to stretch your legs out, put the strap around each foot, move your legs wide so the strap is tight, and then lay down. We haven't done this in a long time, but Tristan's making the best faces about it. So you lay down, breaking your heels and feet out against the strap as best you can. We haven't done this in like a year. I think it's been a year since we've taught any variation of this, and trust me, I've had different stuff, so we'll see. When you're laying on your back, press your feet out against the strap as hard as you can. Already feel how when you press your feet out against the strap, your toes want to turn out. That's using your glutes and your lower back. Look at your feet and try to turn your toes towards each other and press your inner thigh out against the bone of your leg. So you're really trying to spread your feet out from the groin, inner thigh down. You don't want your toes to stick out wide. If you do that, you're going to work from your hip and low back, and this will be a much less pleasant situation. And trust me, even at its best, it is not a pleasant thing. Break the strap, keep it tight. Lift your right foot 1 inch off the floor, but break against the strap as hard as you can. And when you lift that leg up 1 inch, check in with what part of your back is now pressing harder into the floor than the other. It has to shift. There's a difference in symmetry of the body. But try to feel those areas that are pressing, and those areas are part of what you need to engage to have your core engaged. Even if you press your fingers into your abdominal wall, below the diaphragm, above the groin, you can feel left to right sides working differently right now. Go ahead, switch your legs, lift your left up, right down. Different, huh? When you lift your left up, if you're touching your abdominal wall, you might feel it not engaged the same way. Just as we get one tight hamstring or one tight hip, or the symmetry isn't there even for our muscle flexion in our abdominal wall. So we want to try and create some evenness in this. Take your left foot down, pick your right foot up again. Whichever leg was easier for you, if it is your right and we're on that side, feel what parts of your back are flexing, push those into the floor, and try to flex the abdominals to lift the leg up a couple more inches. While you pull the strap with your leg as hard as you can, like you're trying to break it with your right leg. Feel it, huh? Take your right leg down, lift your left leg up 1 inch. Does it feel the same as the right side? Probably not, but press those parts of your back that you felt on the right down. So then you can press the abdominal wall firmer and then pick the leg up 3 or 4 more inches. This is, in the action of yoga, you're trying to create an understanding of what balance is using an asymmetrical alignment. So your left foot should be about 3 inches off the floor, working your back down so you can engage each abdominal wall equally, because what's coming next is going to be both. Break the strap, feel the warmth, the shakiness, right? Leg down. Bend both knees a couple inches, keep them slightly bent. Squeeze your thighs, your knees towards each other. So the feet they're going to keep the strap tight, but twist your thighs and knees inward, like your knees are trying to point at each other. Now pick your heels up off the floor 1 inch. So your knees are pointing in slightly, your legs you're pressing out against the strap. Push your ribs down. You can grab your yoga mat and push the yoga mat away from you to help get some back connection to this. Breathe. Take your legs down, rest for a minute. Ooh, stretch your legs straight. Okay. All right, here we go again. Grab a hold of your yoga mat. Pull, not towards you, but drag the yoga mat away from you. Pull your shoulder blades down, pull your ribs down, bend your knees a few inches, push your legs against the strap, twist your knees towards each other so they're internally rotating. Pick both feet up 10 inches off the floor. So your feet are the same height as your knee. Your shin bone is parallel to the floor. A little higher than 10. Break that strap. Now look at your knees. Look how they want to turn out. Try to rotate your knees towards each other a little. There's a lot of hip flexor muscle that connects to your lower abdominals for this. Now, can you keep your back and legs? Stretch your arms overhead, taking your arms to the floor, like Uttanasana, chair pose. Bend your knees a tad bit more, Ms. Shuba. There you go. Break the strap, look at your knees, make sure they're not going wide, squeeze them in, push your heels out. Keep your back and arms active. Stretch your legs straight out, keeping your feet at the same height without losing the strap. 3, 2, relax. I saw some of you drop that strap like like that. It's okay, I do too, trust me. Are they ready, buddy? They're ready. Bring your arms back alongside your body, grab your yoga mat. Pull on the yoga mat to help set your upper back into the floor. You're dragging it away from you. Bend both knees a few inches. Break against the strap. Pick your feet up and knees up so your shin bone, your feet are the height of your knees. So your shin bone is again parallel to the floor. Look at your knees. Don't let them go out wide. Squeeze them in. So you have to get way into that lower abdominis to do so. Now, the fun part. Your left leg stays exactly as it is. Stretch your right leg straight like you're trying to pull your left foot down, but your left knee stays bent and pulls against the right. Woo! Now, hold it. Take your arms overhead. Stretch your arms long. Press the hands into the floor. Keep the strap tight. Look at your left knee. It wants to turn out. Turn it back in. Now bend your right knee. Stretch your left leg straight. The left leg is trying to pull the right leg down. Keep the right knee bent, pulling against it. Look at your right knee. It wants to go out to the side. Pull it back in towards the center. No hands. Strong legs. Deep breath. Stretch your right leg out. Lay him down. Good job. If you're still here, you did good. Sticking it out. Bring your arms back alongside your body. Grab the yoga mat. Drag the yoga mat. Bend both knees. Pick your feet up off the floor to the height of your hips, or to the height of your knee. I'm sorry. Pick your knees and feet up with your knees bent so your shin is again parallel. I'm sorry. My language was wrong. Yeah. Now break the strap. Look at your knees. They want to turn out. Turn them internally, which means the knees roll towards each other. Now stretch both legs straight up. Break the strap. Try not to use your strap with your hands to hold him up unless you absolutely have to. Just even holding both legs straight up, pushing against that strap, but yet turning the knees towards each other can be incredibly tough. But there's always more. Keeping your right leg in the air as best you can. Look at it, keep it up at that point. Lower your left leg down like your left leg is becoming weight against your right leg. And let them resist each other. The left leg wants to go down, the right leg keeps pulling it up. Stretch your arms overhead. Extend the arms. Bring your left leg back up. Lower your right leg down as best you can. Four, three, strap is tight. Both legs up. As you exhale, one motion, you're not going to stop. Exhale, try to lower both legs to the floor, keeping the strap tight the whole time. Nicely done. You okay? Your hips are tired? Yeah, it's a lot. All right. Draw both knees to the body so you can get a hold of your strap. Make your loop a few inches bigger. And I wouldn't get super crazy. Just add a couple inches of length to the loop. You'll be all right. Hook it around your feet, legs wide. Remember, Uttanasana or chair pose is a standing pose where we start with the knees bent, we're squeezing the thighs tight, we're leaning back, we're asking the core to pick our spine up. We're doing the same actions, but we're not allowing our low back to cheat it. We're asking our thighs and core to work a little more actively. It's true. Stretch your legs out straight, heels laying on the floor. Break the strap. It's not crazy. You're with me in the room, just gonna have to go. Break against the strap. Don't let your toes turn out. Keep them pointed up, if not in slightly. Same as our standing poses. Break the strap, lift both, listen here, grab your yoga mat with your hands, drag the yoga mat, lift, you're gonna lift both legs up about an inch off the floor, and then take both legs to the right as far as you can, breaking the strap. And then once you've taken them both to the right, lay them down, break against the strap as hard as you can. Your left side elongates with this. Take your arms overhead, stretch your arms long, especially your left arm, stretching from your left hip through the left arm, left hip down through the left leg. How's that feel? So you're getting an elongation to the left abdominal wall, left lower back. Break the strap, stretch the legs away from the hips so you're still pushing through each leg. Pick both legs up 1 inch, go back to center, lay them down. Grab your yoga mat with your hands, drag the yoga mat so you set your back, because we want this to happen not from twisting your spine, but from laterally moving your legs to lengthen the side body. We're going to do this on a prop in a little bit to get some more action out of it. Pick both legs up, take both legs to the left as far as you can stretch them naturally. You're not grabbing the rope, you're not throwing them, but you're lifting them, keeping the strap tight, sliding them both to the left, and then lowering them down. Keep breaking the strap after you've gone that far. Keep stretching that right leg long, and then take your arms overhead, stretching the right side actively, because that's the side both legs have moved from, so that's the side you're going to get extension to. Good? You get kind of a Supta Trikonasana thing here. Where's that going? All right, pick your legs up, put them back to center. Just went off. Keep the arms overhead, stretching the upper body long. Break your legs out against the strap. Keep turning the toes in. Pick up both legs straight up into the air, breaking the strap as you go. You can hold on to the yoga mat the entire time with your hands. Now, as you pull against that strap, take both legs to the right about 5 to 10 inches. So you're starting to rotate the hips slightly into the twist. You're going to roll on just to the right side of the buttock. You're not even on the hip fully. You're just on the right glute. The left glute will lift off the floor slightly. If you're pulling on your yoga mat, let your left shoulder stay to the floor. And if you want more, feel free, go a little farther with your right and left leg into the twist, but don't let your legs stretch back out to their starting position. You keep that bend at your hip as deep as you can. Bring your legs back up. Hold your mat. Take both legs to the left about 10 inches. Let your right shoulder blade stay to the floor. Take your legs another few inches if you want, but try not to let your heels go back to their starting point. Try to keep the legs very tight, the fold of the hips very deep, like we did earlier. Bring your body up. Lower your legs down, rest for a moment. Good. Bend your knees, roll to your right, sit on up. If you have a bolster, please grab it now. If you have 2 blankets that you can fold into a bolster type shape, grab it. You're going to take your bolster or your bolster blankets and lay it down the length of your mat. And you're going to have a seat and lay back on it. Don't get too excited. It's not restorative. We ain't there yet. People have been asking, can we have a restorative class? Maybe we'll have a restorative class in December. Play some soft music. I'll light a candle, like a lo-fi channel, and just go to sleep. You don't need your yoga strap right now. Not yet. We'll try it here in a minute. So now laying back in more of a savasana shape, the arch of the lower back puts a certain amount of natural curve back into the lower spine. This makes us have to engage our core muscles harder. Oh yes. Draw both knees towards the chest as best you can. Hip, feet off the floor. Notice how your neck and head want to lift up to do this. Try not to do that. But the abdominal wall has to flex, and you have to try to let your upper back push into the bolster. This is if you kind of like pop up the minute you lift your legs, kind of shows the over engagement of your lower back. Just be aware that there's a lot of stuff to happen there. Keep your left thigh pulled as close to your body as you can. Stretch your right leg straight out away from you, if with your heel as close to the floor as you can get without it touching. Pull on the yoga mat if you need to help keep your upper body on the bolster. Bend your right knee again. Stretch your left leg out. But when you bend your right knee, flex that thigh and pull that thigh bone towards your belly. This is working those outer muscles of the abdominal wall that go down into your hip flexors. If you want to get rid of those tight hip flexor and groin, this is part of it. I know half of you are thinking, I don't want this now. Bend both knees. Hold both thighs tight to your body. Try to stretch both legs up a little bit. They don't even have to go perfectly straight. Just stretch them up. It's hard when you can't use your low back. No hands, Chaya. You can grab your yoga mat. Don't grab your legs. 3. Take the next 3 breaths without making your face look like you're like biting your lips off. On your 3rd exhale, stretch your legs out on the floor. Hard, isn't it? Grab your yoga mat. Drop both knees to the body. Even if you have back problems and you feel like your abdominals might not engage, even just laying like this, picking your thighs up can be very useful for stabilizing the psoas lower lumbar. Pick your feet up off the floor, pull those thighs into the body as close as you can on their own strength. Then take both of them to the right, just enough for your left hip to come up off the floor. Take a breath or 2 into that. And then see if you can pull the thighs closer to your body and then a little further to the right. So you start to train the left abdominal walls like you would in a standing twist. Take them both to the left. This is all variations, most of this is variations of Uttanasana. Just doing it from a supine position. We're adding rotation. We're adding one leg versus the other leg to start testing which leg overworks more than the other, or which leg underworks. Take a breath, come back to center. I know at the start of class, I talked about going from where you were to your present and then letting yoga serve you. I know this isn't what you ordered, but remember, yoga is not a drive-through fast food. You don't get to drive up and ask for like enlightenment and health, and it just is dropped at your plate in 5 minutes. Sometimes you got to go through some other stuff. Draw the knees to your body, feet up off the floor. Did we already do the work? Stretch both legs straight up in the air as best you can. You may not even get them perfectly straight. That's okay. Just do the best you can to keep your chest on the bolster and flex your legs and stretch them up. If you have to keep your knees bent rather than falling out of it or teetering upwards. Take both legs to the right, 10 inches. Just enough for your left hip to come up off the floor. Still trying to lift your legs up towards your belly and stretch them long a little. Go back to center. Take a breath. Long legs as best you can, up and long to the left 10 inches. Back to center. Lay your legs on the floor and relax. Woo! Laying with your back on the bolster, take your right leg, slide it along the floor to the right as far as you can take it, like you're splitting the legs wide. But only the right leg. Stretch it as far to the right as you can. Don't move your hips, just move your right leg. Now, without moving your hips, slide your left leg towards your right leg without picking it up. Just slide it as far as it can go. Now, your left leg can't reach your right leg. It's just going to be like that younger sibling that can't keep up. Keep your left leg where it is. Bring your legs back together, but still to the right. And stretch your heels away from you. Stretch that left leg away from the body. So you're really extending from that curved position. Stretch both arms up into the air. Right hand grabs left elbow. Left hand grabs right elbow. And stretch both arms overhead, pulling with the right hand on the flesh of the left arm, like you're dragging your left armpit to your elbow, stretching that whole left side. Legs are stretching long, side body lengthen. How's that? Better than all the other stuff. Take a breath, bring your arms down, bring your legs back to center for a moment. If you stretch your legs out while laying centered, you might feel a little off one side or the other. How's that? Feels weird, doesn't it? Laying centered, stretch your left leg to the left as far as you can slide it without moving your hips. Slide your right leg to your left leg. Your right leg will not reach your left leg, so take your right leg as far as you can and bring your left to your right. Stretch both legs nice and long so you're lengthening the thigh away from the hip. Arms go up. Left hand grabs right elbow, right hand grabs left elbow. Use the left hand, drag the skin of your right arm. So it's like you're pulling the bone of the right arm away from the armpit. Stretch them overhead. Stretch your legs, stretch your arms, and lay on the bolster and breathe. Or your blankets. You can use a couch cushion for this. Stack of books. Probably some pots and pans. Take a nice deep breath in, bring your arms down, bring your legs back to center. Bend both knees. Bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees go wide. Baddha Konasana. Supta Baddha. Yep, just like that. Push your heels tight together, push your feet into the floor. Stretch the arms overhead, lengthening through the side body. Feet together, knees wide. So just as you're stretching your arms long, you're not straightening the legs, but push your feet down into the yoga mat, especially your heels. So your hips drag away from the low back a little. Bring your arms down. Slide your feet away from your hips a little bit. Do not fully straighten the legs, but you're still in Baddha Konasana. The soles of the feet are touching, the knees are wide. Matsyendrasana, or fitch pose, is a much more of a deeper hip opener from the hip flexors, the abdominal wall. So listen carefully. From your current position, you want to pull your right foot close to your groin and point the foot so the top of your foot is kind of laying on the floor. You're fine. So your right foot is pointed very deeply. It's like your toes are trying to stretch away from your ankle. Your right knee needs to move to the right more, like you're trying to spread your right thigh away from the groin. So it's not squeezing in, it's kind of sliding out. Then your left foot, point it, slide your left knee to the left, and lay your left foot on top of your right foot, ankle on ankle-ish area, or heel on heel area. Think about this. When you're here, pointing each foot, not flexing, Ryan. So stretch your toes away from your ankles, like that, buddy. More of that. There you go. Think about your shin bones. The shin bone between your knee and your ankle. Stretch those towards the floor. So flex your calves and stretch those down. Imagine if I was in class with you, I would put my hands on your calf and push and roll them downwards as you flexed your thighs and tried to stretch your knees wider. How's that feel? The Matsyendrasana is really an action of rotating the shin to open up deep in the hip flexors. Stretch your arms overhead. Lengthen from your ribs out through the arms. As you flex your thighs, your knees go out, your shins press down. And breathe for a moment or two. Get the full extension of the pose. We did the abdominal work, the rotational work, to create stability in the muscles that need to move, the hip flexors, the hip extenders. These last couple poses have been about moving them laterally, lengthening them, and now fully extending them, opening the front pelvis. Very opening. So we'll be here for a little bit longer, a few more seconds maybe. Thank you, Ken. Bring your arms down. Switch your feet. So now your right foot should be on top of your left foot. Your feet are very pointed. You're stretching the toes away from the ankle. So you're lengthening the top side of the leg, the shin bone. Each thigh is extending out away from them. So it's like your right knee is trying to pull to the right, your left is trying to pull to the left. It's a simultaneous action. It's like doing Vidabhadrasana 2 or those kind of poses. So there's a rotation and extension. And then stretch your shin bones towards the floor. Stretch your arms overhead, lengthen, and breathe. As we shift into darker times, as in light quality, right? Natural light is less right now. It's important to modify our practice to recognize how our fatigue changes and how our muscles want and need to rest more. There's a reason animals go into hibernation. As much as we are civilized and we have 24-hour lights and hot and cold, there's still cycles that we are connected to. So while not fully restorative, start adding some poses to the end of your practice after you've stabilized the muscles that is just about letting them get open rest or extended rest. It's very much like Mr. Iyengar's original teaching restorative. Modify the pose, modify the practice so you can get to 1 or 2 poses that are just very comfortable but releasing, whether comfortable emotionally, physically, mentally. Let yoga serve you in that way. Let it challenge you, because we grow from challenge, and let it heal you from the other stuff. Take a nice deep breath in. Bring your arms down, stretch your legs out. If you need a blanket for your head, or you want to lay flat on the floor without the bolster, do so now, and close your eyes. Let the eyes close, my friends. Whatever position you're taking for your final few moments here, make sure it serves you. If it's uncomfortable, modify it so it's what you need. Modify it so your comfort lets you take a look at yourself without judgment. Because as much as we're in the presence of the yoga practice, all the poses you did are gone. Now all that's left is you. So see what's happened for you, my friends. Not what you did for yoga, but what did yoga do for you? What did your time on your mat do for you? Did it teach you anything? Did it show you anything? Did it create for you? And even if it didn't do a positive thing, right? You feel a twinge. There's emotional stuff that's coming up. Don't be afraid of it. It's all a chance to learn. Not about just yoga, but about you. The things that come up for you, about you in this work. Because it's easy to think that all the news and all the things that we hear all the time are more important than us. But each of your voices, each of your work is the important thing. We are guided through by our practice. We are served by our practice. So learn for a few moments, my friends, how this time served you, so that when you're next on your mat, whether with your teacher or on your own, you go in a little bit wiser how to create something different and potentially much better for you. Because if that's what you practice, that is ultimately compassion and love, and you will end up sharing it with the world. And it's not selfish. It's being full. Rest, my friends, for a moment or two. Enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice.